Hi everybody, and thank you for being with me one more month. And to the newbies, welcome. Hopefully we're going to be friends for a long time. Just really quick news that I want to share with you is that a couple of weeks ago the channel hit 3 million views, and it is a big milestone, and I really love it, and it's really encouraging me to continue, as I don't like to cut corners, and I really want to give you the best possible reading, so you kind of like can get an idea, if I only focus on your own energy, how that's going to look like. Just like the one today, monthlies are more kind of like extensive, so kind of like buckle up, right? I like to do it properly. Shorter version, this might be a long version on YouTube. Some people like long. Short version is much easier for any reader. You just like snap them up, but that to me looks like cutting corners, right? And plus we're going through Mercury retrograde. I'm still expecting a whole bunch of stuff to go wrong. Also, Instagram started their own TV, IGTV, and I'll try to place short version with a twist on Instagram. So if you are social media kind of like fan, if you like to maybe do different things and different aspects, you know how the reading gives you something initially, you might not even resonate, but then you come back a week later and say, wow, actually this happened, because this is sort of like projecting your own energies to me. I'm simply mirroring back to what I'm feeling. So let's start with kind of like the general kind of card for all the signs for the Cancer period. And happy birthday, Cancer. I love the sign of Cancer. It's like so nice and gentle, and really like for somebody who is like air, we need water friends around. So kind of like very conveniently, the kitty cat jumped out as a kind of overall energy. So look at that. Is there any card like that can actually describe being on top of the world right now? Sort of like celebration of success, right? And of course it is celebration with cat. So you're kind of probably jointly feeling that there is like some kind of change happening. Maybe we are all of a sudden willing to accept challenges of life or changes, and this is kind of like talking about probably enjoying a wonderful ride on the tiger of success. So we need to welcome it, we need to enjoy it, and most importantly we really need to share our joy with others. And remember, sort of like that every parade does have beginning but also has an end. So keep that in mind. Squeeze anything you can. That means like you're not staying at home and just mulling it over. You kind of like are supposed to kind of like let others kind of rub off on your kind of like feeling of kind of being in the zone. So keep in mind that kind of it's really good to kind of like ride a tiger, and this all shall pass. And this kind of is card teaching us that we need to enjoy these special moments in life, no matter how short they are and no matter how elusive they are, but they will be here this month. So how about we start? Hello, my dear Cancer. I'm going to kind of like start with one card in the beginning, another one in the end. So I'm going to leave this one to Crown. You have the Golden Balance, and the reason I'm leaving this one is because we do have the moon. You are a moon child. But let's check this one very much, because this kind of like to me makes lots of sense, especially when it comes connecting to your sign, right? So check this out. Look at this, how lovely this like sun ray we see here. So it's almost like the light from the heavens, and it's like falling on basically these children. And it's like almost like a spotlight. We all have seen this, like when the clouds kind of like move and all of a sudden there's like something over there. And look at this like innocent kind of reaction. The little girl is reaching out to these kind of beams, almost like as if, hey, this is a part of me, pick me, pick me. But we are really looking at almost like idyllic childhood activity. We don't have much of that these days because, hey, computers is more important than standing out in the ground, right? But the truth is like that in the exploration of the world, it is inevitable that these children are going to lose their original innocence. It doesn't have to be a permanent loss. We don't need to live in constant fear or maybe anticipation that something is going to be lost one day, nor do we actually need to reconcile kind of like the loss and kind of like continuously crave the state of purity. No, no, no. This kind of like is the card of that process from that innocence to wisdom. And we have to honor our life experiences, because innocence is not only the lack of guilt or shame. Innocence is quality in itself and has nothing to do with the age. Would you not agree? Sort of like it's something that we naturally possess the first we come into this world, and then we have challenges that we are facing throughout life, and these challenges are shaping our personality and they're shaping our character. And maybe we also had moments of disappointment or loss, or even like when we turn cynical, right? And no doubt we also had layers of anger and even maybe fear blocked, and sometimes blocking our expression or reaching for that basically source. So in spite of this is telling me there is like some kind of core innocence, and this is like so appropriate for your sign because you have that hard armor on the outside and real the softness on the inside. So you have to hide that softness because, oh my gosh, if people know, they can squish you. So you have to protect yourself. So, you know, when this card shows up, it's maybe telling me that you are kind of like reawakening by maybe releasing kind of like any shame that maybe kind of covered the truth of who you are. Maybe that armor became too thick, and maybe you did manage to fend people off successfully, but you also successfully closed yourself from getting that sun rays in, right? So try to kind of like take this opportunity this month, celebrating your birthday. We have this card celebration. Now you have this card of innocence, and be a little childlike, be innocent, you know, look at things with fresh eyes and kind of like remove the filters, you know. It's just kind of like we are getting them as we get older. So this is clearly saying you are truly a child of God, and kind of like allow yourself to do that. I mean, very nice card. So your heart chakra is going to be very, very potent this month. So what else do we have? At the bottom, we have this 5 of Swords reversed. This is talking about some kind of a victory. And like, I mean, generally not a very positive card when it comes reversed. But for some reason, I had this like thought flying through me saying, not going to affect Cancer this much this month. Like, you see, this 5 of Swords is really saying about somebody needs to win at all costs, even if this victory is just actually ridiculous, right? You don't kind of like game like, I mean, chess against like 3-year-old because you will win. Is that really some victory you can claim? Well, you can, but that makes you kind of look very foolish, right, for the future. So the first thought that I had when I saw that, I said, Cancer is sort of going to kind of lie down their weapon. Maybe they're sort of like going to start connecting with their intuitive side, and sort of like maybe even anticipating certain things and certain arguments to happen, or even just let other people win. Not because you're letting them win, just like because you have better things to do. And there you go. See, was it right or was it right? Forgiving and learning. As you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moments. Exactly. There is like some kind of level of release here. I've seen it. I feel it. Usually when cards like this show up, like if people don't like, oh, it's such a kind of like heavy reading. Well, you know, what comes after heavy, you're going up. You're currently kind of like really enjoying this kind of like ride. You're kind of like feeling in this kind of like Zen mode. And, you know, all I can say, enjoy while you can. But you're going to go further forward and enjoying. You're going to really start understanding certain things. Maybe there is a repetitive pattern in your life. Maybe you have been spiraling. Maybe you have triggers that kind of push you in kind of like down mode. And now you're going to probably kind of like try to bypass this trigger. So before it goes all the way down, you say, I'll kick you over here, and you will actually work on it and kind of like improve that from this point on. So let's see what else do we have. You have unrequited love. As you can see, I'm doing lots of adjustments. I usually don't really read the bottom. It's, to me, sometimes too syrupy. Finances and career. Religious factors. Calling in your soulmate. Free yourself. Honeymoon. Deception. It is safe for you to love. And there we have healing family issues yet again. So let's put the one that's on the bottom. So see, that's sort of like you're like under the light. You are really, codependency. Oh, why did I put it? This was on the bottom. I see it on the bottom. So that one really wanted to talk. I'm going to leave it out here. No, but the last one is from the top. Reconciliation. Interestingly enough. Okay, so these two cards are clearly related. Obviously wanted to come out together. Okay, so let's see. What do we have? Oh my gosh, and oh my gosh, and oh my gosh. It's going to be really interesting. Okay, so let's start. Very similar motive to this Five of Swords reversed that we have over here. Something in the past could have been a battle. Maybe you were, you know how people say, I'm fighting for you. Well, the only time you really need to fight for someone is when you really messed up. And how do you fight for someone is by making yourself a better person. That's the only way to fight for someone. And that should be whether you are with someone or not. You should really fight for yourself at any given time. So there was definitely probably some work you did on yourself, sort of like, I need to kind of better myself. But it looks like there are still some kind of triggers that you need to address, because again we have another five. Fives are always bringing some sort of instability, right? Especially because we also have the 6 and 7 and 9, right? And they kind of like generally are kind of action cards, right? Something actively we needed to address. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, I'm seeing like these 3 6s, already seeing something karmic happening here. So you probably this both cards are talking about the balance. It's kind of talking about the push and pull. How much do I give? How much do I take? This is like really not an easy answer. I cannot really tell you this is X amount, because each person is different. And if you're giving too much, then you're telling to the universe, you know what, universe, I don't need it. Not me. And then tomorrow you need it and there's not there, and universe goes, what the heck you want? You said you don't need it. So it is like something that you have been reassessing. Maybe you were attracting soulmates that were there for a season. You needed to learn certain things, such as, you know, how do you react emotionally? Are you being yourself in a relationship? It is really telling me that it has been a period, sort of like phone down, turn it off, no kind of like extra stuff. You really needed to kind of like recuperate. You really needed to have some kind of rest. So underlying kind of like situation over here, something that has been probably present back in the past. Religious factors to me also can talk about, you know, marriage. It can talk about firm beliefs in life. Maybe you have somebody who is different religion. Maybe you really kind of like want your crown, and like everybody else has to kind of like fall down to certain rules. This also means sometimes making relationships more tolerable. Relationships are hard work. I'm really shocked that we actually don't teach relationship in school. I should probably start relationship school. But I still don't know everything about it, and quite far from it. So this is saying that there is like some kind of like, one person is like pulling in the direction, hey, I really want something in a solid way, just like buy the book. And the other person doesn't. The other person says, no, just like let's just have fun time. This kind of like gives me this friends with benefits, somebody who is like very exploratory and who ultimately kind of like really is not hiding anything, but is leaving you wonder, kind of like, okay, I will not show that this is bothering me, but you know, and this is the problem. When we kind of like don't show this, we are really not signaling who we really are. And this goes back to this kind of like some kind of like sense of boundaries, sense of things that have been something you have been toying with. You were kind of like going to Cancer 2.0 for a while. So what do we have here? We have two things. Unrequited love. Well, this kind of like Disney kind of like story here was saying, oh, you know, there is not enough attraction. That's not the reason for unrequited love. There can be 1,000,001 reason, such as people can be different kind of like beliefs, they can have different philosophies, families might not get along, you know, and maybe there's like too many things that happen, and it's kind of like hard to start, you know, starting from zero. So it could be 1,000,001 reason, because here I'm seeing that somebody is really holding their ground. Somebody is saying, you see, like we had this like 5, we have 6, we have 7. So somebody's saying, look, you know, I know what I want. If this means not getting it, so be it. It's maybe really not meant to be, right? Here's like this flavor of the month card. It's kind of like repeated here in your reading with finances and career. Maybe, you know, there were issues about money in the relationship, because in your case this is coming reversed. You know, maybe somebody is enjoying their accolades way too much. So I don't know if this is you or if this is somebody else. It looks like to me that there is like somebody really sort of like self-oriented and possibly leaving you out in the cold. Or be very careful that this is kind of like really not you. Even though holding your own ground is really important, but it's also important kind of looking things around us and just like seeing how we affect the others. Look, 2 trees, like one is the 3 of Cups and one is like the Hangman 12. 1 and 2 is 3, both reversed. So maybe you're still withdrawn, as I have seen here, from life, from everything, just kind of like saying, just kind of leave me alone. I'm seeing this kind of like trying to turn a page, trying to go in a new direction. This is saying there kind of like should be some form of a sacrifice. And no, I don't mean to sacrifice a lamb or a child. No. Sacrifice where people really do something with hope. We don't know when we are doing that, with hope that the sacrifice is going to actually do and create things much better, right? But it looks like the sacrifice that you do might not really result in, I don't know, this learning experience. When the Hangman reverses, it's somebody saying, yeah, I'm doing all of that for you, But truly, they might even do it, but they're not learning anything. The point of doing something is to learn something and to really kind of contribute, because relationships are not only about one person. It's two people that have to work for kind of each other. You need to free yourself from some kind of emotional baggage. Clearly, clearly, clearly. Look at this unicorn. This unicorn is not that happy in this little small fence. This unicorn needs big green pastures. And this card, the kind of like scorpionic energy, is like kind of like a muddy waters. Maybe you kind of like, I'm trying to reach clarity because you're having this two dark cards over here. All I'm missing is like 9 and 10 of swords to kind of like have the whole opus of the black cards. But this is definitely saying kind of like something need to be shaken down. You really need to firm yourself up. Whoa, and if you do, oh my gosh, this is saying you're actually not opening to these new possibilities. And new possibilities could be all kinds. So something very romantic to something very much long-term. It could be two possible suitors in your life. One, as I said, somebody who is just like still willing to kind of like write songs for you, write poems for you, while the others is going to say, hey, let me take you to this place. They have a really, you know, great steak or something, where they really want to kind of like show you sort of like the best that earthy life can offer. And you should trust that. You should trust both. And if you're just starting to date, just go with the flow, go on both dates, kind of enjoy it, enjoy these flavors, because this is asking you to have that innocence in the process, right? So here again is saying, yeah, look, you know, maybe after all you're just going to drop all these defenses and say, okay, you know what, I have been hurt in the past and I don't really want to be hurt, so let's kind of like really go with the flow and enjoy. Honeymoon is saying maybe sometimes overly idolizing people, yes, and not realizing they can be harmful. Usually a good rule of thumb is really to listen to what people say about themselves. So if somebody says, oh, I'm not a good guy, yeah, he is not a good guy. Don't jump into, like women, we tend to kind of do that. Oh no, you're not like that. Yes, they are. Let me repeat it for you. Yes, they are. And this is kind of confirming over here. Just be very careful about the situation and just being alert about that. It's also observing what they do. So one, what they say, especially what they say about themselves, I'm going to tell you a lot. So for example, you, let's say, love cats, and this, let's say they love dogs. Well, just because you love cats doesn't mean that you don't love dogs. I love both cats and dogs and every animal, and this could be you. But for example, this person would start to kind of like isolate you and blame you because you're just not like them. Well, otherwise, you know, you can actually date a mirror if you really want another one of you. And that can actually show whole levels of insecurities, because the 7 of Swords means somebody thinking that relationship is like something that needs to revolve around them, their own needs, and yet they're not even clear about their own truths. Now, when it comes to how you feel, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, there is like still something badly bogging you down. There is like this pain of the heart, rejection. But you know what they say, the rejection is God's protection. And here we have it again. We go from childhood all the way to deception. So as kind of light, as we were kind of, look at me, let me bask in the sun, to kind of like being covered, not really showing ourselves, maybe out of fear that people will not like us, maybe out of fear that we'll be rejected, maybe kind of like horrified of showing all this kind of like words to this other person. But the truth is, you know, sooner or later, you know, this has to come out, and in the meantime you're kind of like building this very inauthentic relationship where not only maybe them wear a mask, but so do you. And this deception basically is talking about that even if it's a small lie, yeah, it doesn't bother me, no, yeah, I know you made jokes like, you know, on my behalf, but you don't really feel it's funny. it would be fair, more fair to say, look, I really, appreciate if you just stop with this, cut it out, dude. They do it second time, then maybe you will kind of like raise your eyebrow. But this is like what I'm telling you. They are already telling you things about themselves, because obviously your comfort and your feelings are sort of like not taken into account. I mean, there are exceptions to the rule, right? If somebody really wants to help you and to bring something to your attention, something that is crucial or make it or break it in a relationship, then yeah, it has to be brought together, because it might be unearthed to how it goes. Ooh, there's your card. Who was here? Somebody didn't want to commit, and I guess you're expecting certain things to progress in a direction that that didn't really end well. But you guys are back on your feet. You're back on your feet. The only thing I would say, you need to kind of like tame that little voice in you. You shouldn't be doing this to spite someone, because while Chariot is really good, it's kind of like moving forward. So you have the Fool here, you have the Chariot. These are both kind of like cards that are sort of like moving you in a new direction, sort of like in a new energy, in a new process. But you are Cancer. You move forward, you move backward. You're moving forward, you're moving backward. Just make sure that you do not mix the past with the present with the future, because my gosh, you have some promises coming up, but I'm sort of seeing certain things here clearly being stuck. Well, the Chariot makes you unstuck, but Chariot makes you unstuck in a way that you're really not taking all the elements into consideration. You are kind of like, I gotta go there and get in the car, have the trip, have the travel down the road. Oh, there is no gas. Sort of like that thing, but there's like this fast thing. But most people don't know. Perception of a Cancer is being slow and watery. No. Cancer is very, 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 very fast. And you keep coming up in this reading. Maybe this is like simply talking about your spiritual journey. We are going to see if in addition a star card comes out, because that would mean literally you're kind of walking down this bridge. It's going to take you elsewhere. So let's see your environment. And again, you have yet somebody else. May gosh, you kind of like feel very unsafe to love. That's clearly because there are some really good possibilities that you have that energy to attract around you. That is very clear. Like, look at this. You have the Wands, you have Pentacles, you have water. Like, everything is just simply happening over here for you. Oh, you have a Knight of Swords. Maybe you see, like, when you kind of come in, when you kind of like face the fire or fire type person, or you know, it can be born sort of like Sagittarius, Leo and Aries, but it doesn't have to be. It can be just simply somebody who is currently going through, let's say, Mars being in their chart. For example, Aquarians, we now have Mars in our chart, so we might actually pray to be more aggressive than we really are, and it's like not a really good thing, but hey. And it could be just something like you, like your environment. It's a lots of very, very high vibration. Looks like vibration that are better for you are sort of like more watery, more earthy. You kind of like don't want to kind of like pack up your bags and just run the whole day. You kind of like would prefer sort of like slower floating kind of like thing, because it looks like this can be just too much. But this is also telling you that, you know, you need to jump on the opportunity. Opportunity might be lost in being alone. There's nothing wrong with this, but it also means that there will be some people who will come into your life who will not stay, and the opportunity that is opened to you or given to you might not be there tomorrow. And this is something to consider. You guys you need to flick the switch, because the rest of the cards that I see, your hopes and your fears, the codependency is coming up twice over here, right? So this is this dark side of love, and many people who come to me for a reading basically get this card out, not the Lover's card, because very similar in the nature. But look at here. One kitty thinks that she's a rabbit. Another one thinks she's a dog. both of them are completely acting out of their own character. See, these chains can be easily kind of like pulled away. It's not a biggie, right? And they can really kind of like set themselves free if they want to, right? When it's reversed, it's sort of like you're already understanding that there are certain issues over here. Maybe some of you are in therapy, because I'm seeing here like that forgiving and learning and healing. It's going to be sort of like the flavor of the month, you know. I kind of like need this. Maybe you are simply going to have certain things bubbling up to the surface. When they do, they kind of hurt, and it's going to be kind of ouch. But they also kind of like, from what I see, things can actually maybe balance. You will not necessarily change. You will maybe not necessarily talk to people about that. By just by listening and observing, you're going to go to that moment and say, huh, well, you're doing this. That's right. And you have been doing this always. So why would I expect that for gorgeous me you will change when you live it yourself your entire life? As I said, you can only change yourself. And in certain things, look at this, you will kind of like let go of a relationship or of a friendship, of a partnership, something that maybe made you feel hollow inside, something that maybe even pushed you into some kind of addictions and drinking and stuff. And you know, it's easy. You have one day a beer, especially now in this warm weather, the second day a beer, third day 2 beers, and next thing you know, you're tipsy, you're talking to people, you're blurring things out, and you're starting to deal with some more serious issues. Now, for those of you who may have already had these huge issues, maybe some of you are in therapy, this also can talk to me about some influence, interference on the outside, such as third party. And maybe you have broken up with somebody recently, are wondering, you know, about the situation, because there is enough indication to tell me that kind of like is a sticky situation, or was a sticky situation, which was kind of hard to deal with, and maybe kind of like did kind of like give the sense of, you know, I just kind of like really need to step aside. But this can actually start growing something healthy out of something that was hollow, as you can see, right? So this is kind of good, because this also is a card of new kind of starts, of new kind of like direction. So is this one. So intention is good, but intention is part of the story. You still have to kind of jump on that kind of chariot, and you still have to kind of like move that car in the right direction with kind of like all this kind of like stuff in the process. So there is like this sense that, as I said, it was like lots of rest. The lesson here has not been really learned. Like there is like a karmic situation over here. Like I'm seeing these 6s over here. We have it, which means kind of like 6 and 6, and then the 6. It's kind of continuing, and something is really painful. So by the way, guys, check my karmic readings. That kind of like gives you an idea what you wrote for yourself in this life. But look at this kitty, blindfolded, in a kind of tree crown, like doesn't know, oh my gosh, is my next step going to be the one that's going to lose one of my lives? But it's reversed. So good news. For those of you who don't like reverse cards, good news. So the devil reversed, really good news. So this means the blindfold is finally falling off. You're actually understanding the gravity of the situation. You're understanding that it's not going to be just like, I mean, cakewalk. But actually, you know also what you're dealing with, and you know what you can give to the situation, what you can't. Oh my gosh, that's right, somebody from the past, and this can be even past life. And Judgment card is like, well, again, karma card. It's confirming this whole thing. It kind of like means you're finally bringing things from the past, and you're kind of like now moving in a new direction. Look, it's kind of like the stars are lining up. And even though maybe this is not sort of like that, and then they live happily ever after, because there is like still something, it still needs work. Like, I mean, it still needs to kind of wrap up. But when I see 9s, they always tell me you need to work on yourself, Cancer. And I think this goes back to the healing and the essence, because I think when we get involved in problems, then it kind of like magnetizes us to crappy things to just stick on us, and we kind of like really need to kind of like reach again ability to kind of patch things together and be that nice smooth surface when things are just simply bouncing off from us. Another thing just I want to mention quickly that I've seen, finances and career. So I don't know if money is affected, or you need kind of child support, or you're working on depending on your business, and maybe this is affecting, maybe this is the devil. There's not enough time, the devil is in the details, as they say. You kind of like need to maybe program your life better and kind of continue with that, and kind of like position it properly, so that way you have enough time for your loved ones and you have enough time for yourself, because that's going to be a month we're going to do a lots of inside job, inner work. So let me just close this reading with this golden palace. So let me read it for you. Golden Palace, Cancer. It says, there is always enough. The Golden Palace card represents good fortune, ambitions fulfilled, wealth, and prosperity. Yoo-hoo! It may also indicate emotional fulfillment, as perhaps you're entering a time of happiness that's long overdue. The message here is that self-worth isn't measured by what you have, no matter how abundant your life is. Instead, it comes from what you are, how authentically you are living your life, and how much love you're willing to share. Granted, receiving this card does indicate material gain and a furthering of tangible rewards. Well, of course, it is your birthday. It's not like really big surprise over here. But it says, but things come and go, and knowing your true value leads to even greater riches now. Share the wealth. Well, Cancer, I think that really seals it properly, and I really think you guys are going to go through thick and thin this month, but boy, it's going to be rewarding. It's going to be very rewarding, because if you kick off these bad habits, and if you even give somebody new a chance, but you're giving them a chance only after seeing that, hey, there's so many different opportunities that you can just like swim in, it's going to put things in a better perspective. So my dear Cancer, you know that I love you. And if you really want your own reading for your own energies, please check my website at www.cattarot.ca. And until the next time, wish you all the best.